Hi, and welcome back to On Guard Cigar Salon. Today we're going to do something just a little bit different in that we are going to do what we do on a weekly basis, which is get together and shoot the shit. And you're going to be a fly on the wall and get to watch it all. So lots of people comment that they like that. It is 2 days after the election, and everyone is kind of reeling from the outcome. We haven't seen or spoken with each other except through text since then. There's a feeling of friends being despondent and depressed and stuff. How are you guys feeling? Yeah.
Despondent
Exactly.
and depressed. You said it.
The word that keeps emerging when I talk about it is I feel a little shell-shocked.
Yeah.
That point at which I'm somewhat numb because it's such a horrific outcome
Right.
that my self-defense mechanisms are probably kicking in, and that's why I'm numb. I haven't cried. I thought I would. I don't think I vented too much, except my social media followers may feel differently. But I think I've been relatively calm, but I feel shell-shocked. I feel numb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I would say I'm in shock right now, but I'm feeling this sense of betrayal. Onyx had a meeting last night and that term came up. It's definitely a feeling of betrayal.
How confident were you that we would win?
I wasn't confident. I was looking at it as a great chance, but what I was confident in was that the people like us, racially and spiritually, sexually, would all vote the same way and would vote in our interest, and that didn't happen. And that's what I'm more upset about that than I am about losing the election.
It is weird to see the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Who voted for what,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. In defense of queer people, they did come out with some data that the LGBT community, they don't have data on the Q part, so
Right.
they track. That's why I'm using that acronym. Voted more for Kamala and for the Democratic presidential candidate than in recently recorded history.
Yeah.
So they did come out and vote for Kamala more than Biden.
Yeah.
So I mean, from a queer community perspective, I think most of them came out. I feel betrayed by those that did not, or voted the other way. But we did for the most part come out.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by the white woman vote?
Yes.
Were you surprised by the black man vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
And
Well-
what do you think that says?
I think it's different for white women than it is for black men. I think, and this is just my take, and I know a large number of black men have issues with black women being in positions of authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think systemically, I hate to say this, I think systemically we go for the golden carrot over our own interests at times. I know a lot of black people are going to be angry at me for saying that, but I just look, historically, we have sold each other out from time to time, and I think that continues, and I think that the Republican Party rightfully divided us.
Yeah, well, they were very good at that.
They were.
And for me, it felt like 2016 all over again with Hillary. And it made me think the misogyny in this country we're not ready for a woman president, as much as they pretend to be.
No,
Right.
absolutely, it's true. But the thing about black men, I do think they showed up for Kamala. They did. It was younger black men, as the data shows that they think didn't. But black men were still in the high 70s to 80% voting for her. What I read and what I saw on C-SPAN and what the data shows is it was Latino men who really did not come out at all for Kamala.
But Latino men are also, from my Onyx brothers, they have a machismo theme. and they're Catholic.
Right. As an ex-Catholic, I can say that's absolutely true with all the Latin.
And as an ex-Catholic, I can
You
say
can
that
say
too.
the same. You know what depressed me the most about it? And I know you guys, you don't like me saying this too much, but it sadly reinforced what I didn't want to believe about the American public.
I think everyone's getting that.
And I gotta say, I dramatically knew it, and I've told you guys this before, because I'm, as a nurse, still on nursing blogs, how horribly nurses were treated during the pandemic. Getting screamed at and yelled at, and people waiting in hospital parking lots screaming at them going to the car. And I thought, is this really America? And I personally, it is. It's the same as the 50s, if not worse. And we have to admit, I think, America showed us who we are. Whether you're black, white, Latino, this is the America we live in. We're in a bubble. The poor people who are not in a bubble,
Not in California, the California bubble.
the Northern California bubble. If you look at the map of California, I got to tell you, Southern California did exactly what they did to us with Prop 8.
Yeah,
Tanked it.
yeah.
The Valley in Southern California fucked us.
I guess my greatest disappointment, and I talked about this certainly in our talks privately, I've worked on a lot of political campaigns over the years, and I know pragmatically, I'm a very pragmatic person in politics, 40% of the electorate is lost to either side. I'll say lost. In other words, 40% are gonna vote Republican, 40% are gonna vote Democrat. And the middle 20% is who you're always going for when you're campaigning. That's just reality. I'm disappointed in those 20%. That they didn't see the hate and the evil and the misogyny and the homophobia and the transphobia.
I don't know how they didn't see it. He was putting it right out there.
And see, that's the disappointment.
Yeah.
It was there. It's no secret who he is and what he wants to do. And they went with it
didn't
anyway.
care.
Right, but see, I'm not disappointed because it just verifies that we are the ones who have been with our head in the sand about what America really is.
And we keep saying, I can't believe they didn't see it. They saw it.
They saw
And
it.
wanted
Yeah.
it. They wanted it.
That's a better way to put it. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
No, they wanted it.
Yeah.
It's not that they didn't care. They wanted it. They
Yeah.
voted for it.
Yes.
So and I have to now assume, and this is something I really don't like, and this is how I feel in the moment, 2 days after an election. So I may feel differently in a few weeks. But anyone who has voted for Trump, I am now going to assume is racist, is homophobic, is transphobic, is misogynistic, is anti-immigrant, is an Islamophobe. I could go through the whole list. I'm going to assume that. I don't care what demographic they come from, whether they're black or gay or whatever. I'm going to assume that,
Yeah, but
and I
what's the
hate that.
assuming? They did do it.
They did do
are.
it, but they will claim they're not.
And they lie.
Because they will pick pieces out of it.
Yeah.
It'll be
Right.
like, yeah, we know all we know.
But
we
the
know,
taxes,
we know.
but
Yeah,
eggs,
yeah,
eggs,
yeah.
they're $8
Everything
a
was
dozen.
yeah, everything was. In fact, I was in an Uber yesterday because my car was in the shop, and my driver was a youngish. He said he was from Afghanistan, right? And so he brought up the election himself, and he was very happy about this. And I said, well, how about all the other things? And he said, yeah, but the way Americans are, and he said, it's the prices. If the prices are high, they're not going to vote for the guy. If the prices are low, they'll vote for him again. And this is from a guy whose country's being
Wait till they
bombarded.
see what the prices are going to be. Now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Now
but-
20% higher.
But
But
there's no foresight.
But you wanna
It's-
know-
There is
this
no
is what
foresight.
it is now.
But what amazes me about Afghanistan and Iran, in the 70s when I was in college, they were considered the university cities and countries of the world.
Mhm.
You look at anything from the 70s. Yes, the Shah of Iran was horrible. I agree. But once he was deposed and religion took over, look at Iran today. Once the same thing happened in Afghanistan, saying they were the most progressive, educated countries until 1976. And if you don't think religion is going to do that in this country, it already has.
Project 2025.
Yeah.
Nobody
Good point.
believed it.
Exactly.
They're already, the Heritage Foundation has a plan implemented day one. And he has no guardrails now.
None.
They're going to. And now they're like, yeah, we were going to do that all along.
Yeah.
And they're
We lied to
exactly.
your face. We don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because they don't care.
they don't care.
See, and I go along with what you said. I have to say, I've been trashed for saying this online. I will not associate with a Republican voter. It is not just the Trump voter. Republicans have gotten in line behind him, and they voted through everything he did when he was in office, and they stood with him against Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who actually came out and said the same as Milley. And 40 out of the 44 cabinet members refused to endorse or vote for Trump. His vice president didn't do it, and yet Americans did it in a landslide.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do about your friends?
So
Your Republican friends?
Oh, I've already ditched family that won't. I will
I
never.
don't talk to my family, and it's over that. And that started in 2016. If you're gonna vote for someone who's gonna harm me, I don't want to be your friend. And
Bingo.
I don't care. And I think, and that's a good topic to bring up, because we're privileged in this bubble, in this gay sanctioned bastion bubble.
Exactly.
There are lots of people out there hurting and scared for their fucking lives in those red states, and they're even young 20-year-olds living with their parents who just voted against them.
I know.
How do you live like that?
I agree.
How do you live like that? How do you cut off your family that you are?
Well, family, I cut off. A sister of mine said, but it's their deeply held religious
Yeah,
belief.
my brother
I
tried to
said,
do it too.
Really? So their deeply held religious belief is that I shouldn't have rights
Right.
or exist, and yet I'm supposed to forgive them because
Right.
we came out of the same womb?
Yeah.
I think not.
So I when we talk about association,
I'm going to get canceled.
there's the
You were canceled long ago.
no, and I think we need to
We do.
not
We need to
worry
be
about
honest. Right.
being canceled if we're telling our personal truth.
And this
That's
is the
true.
great thing
That's
about
true.
a salon.
That's true.
Everyone has an opinion.
Right.
You may not agree with our opinion.
Yeah.
That's
And
fine.
that's fine.
So I don't agree with Pig's opinions lots of times.
We all disagree at times.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all disagree.
Oh, yeah.
That is a salon, and
I agree with
I
you
know.
now.
Yeah. So I have sort of different layers of association.
Mhm.
On a personal level, if I have a family member, blood or not, who voted for Trump, I'm going to cut all ties.
Yeah.
That's just perfect.
It's your
If I
mental
have
health.
somebody who for my own personal
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah.
and if I had somebody who I discover is in my inner sanctum of friends who voted for Trump, I would probably cut them out of my life.
You're right.
Because you're not going to change their mind with rational thought.
No.
Right.
You're
They're-
not.
They're in a cult.
And then there's the more distance, like I do community work and I might encounter people who are Trump voters.
Yeah.
Might I try to engage them and talk? Maybe. Am I going to invite them in my own personal circle? No. Am I going to invite them to my parties? No. Am I going to try to avoid them at all costs socially?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then there's the more extended, which we'll probably have this discussion 6 to 12 months out when we've all are facing reality, like how do we engage those people if we have to? But I'm not.
Okay, let's not even say Republicans. Let's say people who voted third party.
So, okay, I took some shit online because I happen to personally, this is how I feel 2 days after an election. I realized that I changed my tone a little bit over time and I copped to that. I called out not just Trump voters, but non-voters and third-party voters.
I agree.
I consider them all complicit in this outcome. If they chose not to vote, you elected them.
Right.
If they chose third party, you elected them. I don't care if you say your state didn't matter. You have influence over everyone in your sphere. So if you were touting a third party person, you influenced somebody else. If you said, I'm not going to vote, you influenced somebody else. To me, they are entirely complicit in this outcome.
You're right.
And I realize that's a controversial stand.
No,
That's how I feel.
No, but you said something that's important because I was a nurse and I got to tell you, even through the worst days, I never let that bleed into when I was caring for patients
Mhm.
or when I was a bureaucrat, decisions that were made that everybody get whatever they need and we do everything to care for them. But you know what? The other side does not have an imperative to care for one another. And that's the one thing I still would and still would to this day. But let's be clear. They do not have an imperative to care for one another. They are more worried about their own economics. And
So wait, you made a good point.
Oh.
And that is what I think we just discovered is the real America is every man for themselves.
Yeah.
They are not concerned about their fellow humans.
They don't have, we
This
don't.
is capitalism run amok. This is all about the economy.
It is,
And-
100%.
And can I point out something that you just said unknowingly? Every man for himself.
Oh, yeah.
And that is exactly how this country
How
is
do
functioning.
women feel right now?
Yeah,
But
certainly.
women voted for him.
Well, that's true.
White women.
Like,
Do you know black women showed up in over the 90th percentile?
Well, you know what though? So I gotta say, black women, and this is from me growing up and having lots of black women in my family. When it comes to things like abortion, I think we're much more upfront about it.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't have systemically, we don't have the money to go to some high price doctor to hide our abortion or have some boyfriend who's going to pay for it all.
Right.
It's like we're gonna have it or we're having the baby and that's that. I think, you know, white women are extremely deceitful, especially when it comes to saving face. And so I think that that's a big
Karens.
difference.
I agree.
Karens.
That's where the Karen came from.
Yeah,
It is,
absolutely.
exactly. It's very
Absolutely.
true. It's very, very true. You know, one of the other things that you said that I want to say that, given our age and what this whole salon is about, is, you know, when I came out, I just socialized with all these people in the bars or whatever, because at the time it was 18 to drink because of Vietnam. And, you know, they talked about, you know, the horrendous things they went through in the 40s and 50s. And then we did get some amount of social acceptance. And, you know, it actually became kind of sociable to be bisexual. Remember in the 70s, the disco era, everybody wanted a queer friend. But, you know, so we got into that bubble that was really false. And what's the truth is, we are back with those guys who were given those stories in the 60s and 70s of how horrific it was. They were thrown out of the military. They were fired from their job. They were blackballed. Their families turned on us. So I don't have any problem saying, I'm not turning on my family. You turned on me when you voted for people who are going to do this to me. And I really am very, very comfortable with that. And I think we can't forget that. You know what? We do have agency, and we have to start speaking up and saying, fuck you. You know, if you don't think I deserve just basic civil rights or safety or the right to a job and housing, fuck you.
And you know, since we have an audience of a lot of...
No.
No, I mean, it's how we feel. This is what a
It is,
salon
it's how we feel, right.
And they are seeing a more unfiltered version of us
Right.
today.
Ant's not here.
To
rein us in.
Even posed this question today to people, since a lot of our audience is leather and kink,
Uh-huh.
from all walks of life. We assumed it was a gay male audience, but we've discovered that people from across the kink spectrum and the leather spectrum watch our show. Is when I'm now in a leather or kink space and I know somebody is a Trump voter,
Oh,
do I feel safe with them?
no.
No.
Mhm.
So that now, what happens if you have an event and you're selecting your teachers for that event, for your workshops and your classes, and you know that person voted for Trump? Are you going to accept them as a teacher, knowing that this is supposedly a LGBTQ inclusive space?
Mhm.
I would not feel as safe. And I feel pretty much safe anywhere, but because I have a lot of privilege and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. But a lot of people won't feel safe. That young trans kid isn't going to feel safe. And so, you know,
But not only that, it is proof that their moral compass is off.
Yep.
Mhm.
And that is, so it used to be that you couldn't judge someone's character by how they voted, especially older Republicans that were voting for the economy mainly. However, you have a candidate now who right up front was misogynistic, rude, fellatio to microphone. You know, their moral compass is off if they voted
He's
for
a
this
convicted
guy.
rapist.
Not even getting into all that.
Right.
He's just an offensive person. And what kills me is their victory song is still the fucking YMCA.
Yeah.
5 gay guys.
Well,
and basically cowboy drag. That's their theme song. How is this?
Well, because they only have Kid Rock.
Because they won't sue them?
Right. Well, but no, you bring up a good point, and I do think when we look socially at things, and this has happened a lot to the African American community, a lot. I think rock and roll is all based in African American blues. If you want to know the truth, all of it. But they don't steal from our culture, but they look into our world and they kind of want it, but they don't want us. You know what I mean? They don't want to accept us, but they look at the things that, we are an oppressed group. And for that reason, we've grown these communities and we've done everything. And the second they look in, they want it, but then they want to criticize us as people, as individuals in this country.
I'm going to give a direct example. In my opinion, and I'm not even faulting them for this, a lot of heterosexual and pan kink culture has adopted our leather culture.
Right.
Our gay and lesbian leather culture. And they have taken it as their own. And yet I know many of those leather people who voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And so here they are co-opting our culture, and I'm fine with that. That's how life goes. You co-opt all kinds of cultures. That's the way life goes. That's the way culture develops. But then you turn around and vote against the very culture you co-opted. Fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And
Fuck
we have
you
all kind of reasons
all the
for
way.
it.
So I'm getting this underlying theme that people are mad. I'm going to go on a limb here and guess. You've gone from despondent to mad.
I've even been very public about this, that I know I'm in my anger phase.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm in my anger phase 2 days out. I am pissed off. I am angry. I am disappointed. I'm all those sort of things. And I know over time I'll be more pragmatic and I'll be a little bit more careful with language because I think that's how it will influence people. I'm not there yet.
Right.
I am pretty raw right now.
Me too. And one thing, I'm glad you said that about being pissed off, because I think that's when we do our best work. However, I lived through this being a provider in the very early 80s with HIV. We got nothing. We begged for everything. We begged Reagan. We sent letters. I was on the board of directors of 2 different medical that cared for people and did case management. We begged and got nothing. And then ACT UP showed up. And it's the only time, ACT UP is the only thing that got us over the edge, where we started getting medications when they closed down. And I've got to say, the second time I saw that was with Prop 8 in California. If you look at it, first off, civil rights are never given to anybody. They're fought for and they're taken. Nobody gives you civil rights. But during Prop 8, I'll never forget it. And I was in a position, I gave a lot of money to that. And I was in meetings with Darrell Steinberg. And he's a wonderful man, by the way. But they had these signs, if you remember, that were blue and green, and they were done like the Constitution, equality, blah, blah, blah. And then when they started seeing, the one thing I fought with Equality California, I'm not going to say the guy's name, he was the leader at the time. I said, they're bringing on all these people saying we're ruining their lives, we're coming after their kids, they're calling us pedophiles again because we want to be married. And we put out a sign that says equality for all. Well, do you remember when they dramatically switched the campaign to the red and black signs that said not fair, not right? The gay community always does that as an oppressed community. We believe, well, we've been so impressed, we want to be nice. We just want to change hearts and minds. Well, here's the third time it's fucked us. He was out there saying all this shit about us, and we're out there trying to be nice. You know what? We need to start fighting back peacefully.
To your point, since you evoked ACT UP, right after the election, I saw 5 silence equal death t-shirts being worn.
Thank God. The only thing that got us meds was ACT UP. Nobody else.
Because it's apt. Silence equals death. Possibly literally.
Right.
And so we need to have that pissed off mentality behind us. Be strategic, do all those things. But you're right, sometimes anger does fuel you.
Well,
I agree with everything you're saying. Everything across the board. My fear is this is a new when we acted up before, maybe got arrested, maybe I think it's going to be different.
Yeah.
We saw it with Black Lives Matter.
Mhm.
They brought out the riot gear. They killed people.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
Over this. It's going to be dangerous.
And then
You're
they
right.
stormed the Capitol and then
And did
shit
shit.
happened.
Right.
Nothing.
They
And now
arrested a
We
few
know what
people.
Trump will do with rioting.
You're right.
Yeah,
Oh, he's going to pardon them all.
he is going to
White national, whatever they are, white supremacists, the Proud Boys. But you're absolutely
See,
right. But you
black
want to know
people-
something?
You should have fucking listened.
Exact. But I'm going to tell you something. I worked with a guy who was shot at Kent State, and Nixon, 100% fucking Republican Nixon, ordered that the National Guard in Ohio, they were 100% peaceful protesters. There was no gun anywhere except for them, and they shot indiscriminately into a crowd of peaceful protesters, killed 4, and like, I don't want to say his name, although I did once on these things. I worked with him. He was shot in the foot, and was a cane. He was a social worker. He was the head of our union, I have to say, and he had to not be open about the fact he was shot at Kent State, because those fucking right-wing Republican assholes would still want to do something to him because he was protesting at Kent State. Shot down 4 18, 19, 20-year-old kids for peacefully protesting Vietnam.
I think it's going to get worse.
I want to
It's
say,
way worse. You're right. You're right.
well, I want to address something that you just said. In terms of protesting, standing up for ourselves, and all of that, I can say that as a black man, anything that we do is going to get us killed.
Right.
You're right.
Maybe not so much white people,
You're right.
but anyone black, anyone of any certain color, but especially black,
It is.
we are going to be
It's true.
killed.
Look what they did to Angela Davis.
Oh yeah.
Look what they did.
Look what they did
They
to the
made-
rest of the black
I'm not
men.
even talking National Guard at this point. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse.
Look, right.
They
Right.
have
They made him a hero.
they have
Right.
emboldened,
Mhm.
and everyone has an AK-47 now.
Oh yeah.
Guns are legal.
I don't know. It worries me. We should arm up.
Well, there are
I
some
don't know.
people talking about
Pink
Panther-
pistols.
Pink Panthers.
So
We
let-
need the
since-
lavender
Since we're
panther.
talking about protest, I just want to put one data point into the hopper, because I think numbers are going to matter here. If things really get bad, there is solid data that if at any point 3.5% of the population takes to the street, they can overthrow any regime.
Right.
It has been documented over and over. That's a lot of fucking people. So if you had alliances of Women's March and Black Lives Matter and
Yeah.
queer groups and every marginalized oppressed group, and were able to amass millions and millions and millions of people in the street, it might have some action and also provide some protection.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to happen because you have all the white people who are as tickled as day.
They are.
And no matter how things get for us, things are going to get better for them, and they know that, and that is really all they care.
And
But
I
it's
don't
not
think,
gonna
and
get
I
better
don't
for
think
them.
people are willing to put their neck on the line. I think they're social warriors now. They do it online. They spout their opinion online and think they made a difference in
But-
their echo chamber.
Yeah, but that's an interesting thing, and I do agree with you, but I've got to say, one of the things that I've been noticing in a lot of the people who are far smarter than me that actually have degrees in political science is they're saying, Trump, although he followed all of Goebbels' propaganda techniques 100%, he was always out there, he was always there. And if you think about it, during the Nazi regime, flags everywhere. You can't see a picture in Germany that there isn't a swastika flag. And I agree with you, but I don't disagree, but I do wonder the fact that we think that when they're doing it and they respond to it. They look at what's his name? Leon or whatever the hell the South American immigrant who should be deported.
Elon Musk.
What he said, yeah.
South Africa.
South African, yeah, but you want to know something about that?
Well,
He took over Twitter knowing I don't even want one one voice out there, because they constantly, for 9 years, Trump bombarded. He was in these rallies. He had flags everywhere. He got all this merch. He sent golden sneakers and Bibles.
He put his face on the American flag.
Right, but you want to know something? So I think any voice out there is not in an echo chamber. I really don't. I agree with what you're saying, but the fact that he was constantly there is the whole basic principle of marketing. He was in everybody's face all the time. I think we got to ACT UP was in everybody's face all the time.
Can we rename marketing to propaganda?
Propaganda,
It's
right.
really-
It's propaganda.
It's really
It is.
propaganda.
It's
more than
propaganda.
anything else.
Exactly, because it's purposeful to mislead.
So, all that being said, what do we do now? Like, I mean, I keep seeing these memes of hope, and we're just gonna fight. I'm tired of.
Me too. I'm over that.
We contributed. We fought.
No, we got to fight.
But you know,
how?
I mean, well, I think, and this is gonna sound really fucked up, but I think that first we need to get rid of people in our midst who are not with us, friends, family, all that shit, because we don't need them weakening us from the inside. I mean, we have friends right now. I saw a post on your page with someone saying, well, here, let me show you a whole different side of this. And this is someone we know very, very well.
I know, it made me sick.
And he posted all that bullshit, and it's like, dude, I don't have another word to say to you, and we need to get those fucking people out. And then
so you have to be clear about what you're talking about.
Okay, can I just frame it for you in my way?
No, it was
Don't name a
racist.
name,
It
but
was
I don't-
racist post. It was on
Racist
your
Bar.
On your bar.
Yeah,
Do
which
you
I-
know what it was? Who it was? Or what
No,
it
but
said?
we're not going to say who it was.
I don't remember. I honestly not even sure I saw it. Oh, okay.
No,
I did not
couldn't-
read that, so I don't.
I couldn't
I
believe
did. He presented another side and was saying that we need to be gentle and.
No, oh my God.
Yeah, it's on your
Okay,
page.
now I
You
gotta
know-
go look at my own page.
Listen, two things I want to say, and it's going to annoy everybody because I say, but my favorite philosophers in the top 10 are Jean-Paul Sartre and what's her first
Simone
name?
de Beauvoir.
Simone de Beauvoir. And what Simone de Beauvoir said in the 20s, because they were sexual outlaws as well as being very learned philosophers, was our oppressors would not be so strong if they didn't have accomplices among the oppressed.
Right.
And that
that's true.
sums it up completely.
Mhm.
Our oppressors would not be so strong if they did not have accomplices among the oppressed. And this is why Republicans don't want people educated. Because if you start reading that stuff, you realize this is not new. It happens over and over.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Margaret Atwood, when she was writing, she wasn't just writing a novel, The Handmaid's Tale. She was looking at what was happening. She was looking at the anti-choice, and she wrote The Handmaid's Tale. And here it is. It's absolutely no different than when Anthony Burgess wrote A Clockwork Orange, or who's the guy that did 1984? I can't
George
believe
Orwell.
George Orwell. These are people, they're not stupid. They're learned, and they read the tea leaves, they look at what's happening, and it's all come true.
This also plays into the thesis, and it is a thesis because it's hard to prove this with data, the concept of the paradox of tolerance.
Right.
And for those that don't know that, if I understand it and can verbalize it correctly, it is there is a point at which you are so tolerant that you are allowing people into your midst that will then be intolerant toward you.
Right,
Yes.
because you've been
And-
oppressed and you don't want to oppress anybody.
And
Yes.
that's what you're playing into. That's what you're
Yes.
talking about.
Exactly.
And I happen to agree at this.
And that was kind of what Michelle Obama was doing. When
Yeah.
they go low,
Oh.
we go high,
Yeah.
which she now regrets saying.
Yeah.
That is a commonality
You're right.
with the Democrats. We always give the
Absolutely.
benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
They say they're going to shoot you in the face, and we're like, you wouldn't do that.
Yes, they-
Maybe it'll be a rubber bullet.
When people tell you who they are, believe them.
Believe them.
Exactly, Maya Angelou. Exactly. You know,
Yes.
but do you notice all of these kind of sayings that are not sound bites, they really have meaning, all come from people who come from oppressed groups that nobody would listen to in their time.
Right.
You know, they're dead, and then we listen to them and quote them.
But I think the thing that we're bypassing now is they showed them who they were, but they didn't care.
No, they agreed with it.
Well,
they agreed
not
with
everyone
it.
agreed. There were people who just didn't care. There were other things that are just much more important.
So I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I don't know necessarily. I think this goes back to what the pig said, that they don't want people educated.
Right, they don't.
And a lot of uneducated people don't have an education they don't have this history. They don't have this. They're merely looking at the economy and the white guy as the president.
Right.
That's what they based it on.
But the South has some of the most distinguished black colleges in the world.
They do.
Education is there. We can't just keep saying they're uneducated, because there are very uneducated people who voted that way.
Yeah, but I got to tell you.
But I'm also saying the masses voted, and the masses aren't educated.
You're right. But can I tell you something about that? Some of our best doctors, and you know, I've been a nurse for many years, as you all know.
Really?
Yeah. But you know what?
I wish you would tell us.
They went to Howard. They went, and you know, they're here in California practicing. They don't stay in the South.
But the institutions are there.
They are.
There's still people there.
I agree with you, but you know, those people, once they are brilliant, they have options, and they get the hell out.
Can I bring up another point? And okay, this one might get me canceled, and it's gonna piss a lot of people off, and I don't care. It's just what the fuck is gonna happen now. So a number of years ago, at the Leather Leadership Conference, someone put together a class based on how to recognize your enemies. And in the description of that class, the person said, you know, there are dynamic personalities out there. And they named Gandhi, they named Martin Luther King, they named the Kennedys, they named Hitler, and people got so angry that Hitler was in that list that they not only canceled that class, but they wouldn't let those people teach. And what they were teaching was how to recognize people who are like
problematic.
Hitler.
Yeah, I remember.
How to and what did people get
Yeah.
from that? They said, well, they're going to teach us how to be Nazis. How fucking stupid are you people? How fucking stupid. They were trying to teach you how to recognize those people, and you got fucking angry.
Don't yell at him.
Your fucking fault.
He's channeling me.
He told you, so you're the pig now.
You know
Your
what?
fault.
It is.
But no, and we, when we're private, we do get angry like this.
That's
we do,
true.
because that's, you know, we do. And I happen to remember that class extremely well. We were part of the leadership thing back then, and a lot. And I remember the controversy, and a lot of sound minds were like, no, that's not what they're doing. They're trying to educate you. And this is why it goes back full loop to this whole paradox of tolerance, etc. Do we allow these people to stay in our midst?
No.
Do we let them join our clubs? Do we let them teach it and do workshops at our things? Do we let them run our events? Do we go to their events? Do we say, fuck you, we're not going to go to your events anymore?
The other thing, do we give them our money? And so this happened when I was at MIR just 3 weeks ago. There was a Chick-fil-A across from the host hotel.
Oh.
And I know several people who went to Chick-fil-A and bought meals, and when called out on it, they're like, well, you know, it was convenient. I'm like, fuck you.
Exactly.
No.
Good for
So
you.
we are not, and I know it's hard to do because every corporation is evil. Elon Musk, everything has a monopoly. But when they're out and out known boycotted things in our queer community, don't give them your money, and don't justify it.
Wait, can I say
don't
something?
Justify it.
You're absolutely right. Can I say something about that? We had a Coors boycott that worked. Does everybody remember that?
I remember.
And it worked.
And Coors backpedaled the fuck up and sponsored the gay pride.
Okay, but wait a minute. But you look today. It's just like what I said earlier. You know, the right wing went after Light, Budweiser
Bud
Light, because of and it worked.
Yeah.
It's our community that doesn't stand together anymore and make boycotts work. They co-opted our techniques, and we've got to get back to that. And I'm sorry, we need to be angry.
And this is the last power we have is our dollar.
Exactly.
And our dollar is
we need
immense.
to start and we need to start stamping our money, gay money again, like we did in the 70s.
And let's bring it down to our.
Nobody uses money anymore.
Yeah, that's very true.
That is true.
We need to stamp our Venmos gay.
I went through all of Europe, and I think I spent 25 euro or something. Anyway, because I think let's bring it to our leather kink queer community.
Yeah.
If I'm going to an event and I know it's produced by a Trump voter, I'm not going to that event.
And nobody else should go.
If I am in a vendor market and there's 100 vendors and I know these 3 are owned by Trump voters, I'm not only going to not give them my money, I'm going to tell everyone else not to give them their money.
Good.
And I'm going to be vocal about it. I am done being nice.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. We are literally poised on the edge of fascism. And
no, it has come.
It has come.
It has come.
And we can't simply be nice to those people anymore. Fuck you, get out of our community, you don't represent our values, get the fuck out.
And the problem is the young kids don't realize this because they have lived with all the rights that we fought for, so they just expect them to continue on.
Yep.
And they're not fighting for their fucking rights that we fought for. And that pisses me off.
And
I agree.
Not just to blame it on the kids. I'm looking at gays right now. We are so
superficial.
Yeah, we want to go on, the cruises, the parties. We're out there slaying and shit. And now we're about to be slayed literally because y'all are out there prancing around in dresses and shit, trying to be fabulous when you're not going to have any right to put those things on ever again. So you need to take that shit off and start working towards and fighting and shit. Take that off.
Now,
Get out there.
Now, can I tell you something that you said the last time we met?
I was all calm and shit.
No, but I like
That's what happens when you
no.
get next to the
This
thing.
is me. No.
I'm going to have to separate you.
But wait, no. Well, I want to say something that you brought up last time we met, not on cam, but here. And it doesn't matter who, but you were saying, you're trying to get people to do this, and you've been working in Onyx, and a bunch of you guys have been working in Onyx, and you just said to somebody, I need you to do this, and they were like, you know what? I want my flowers now.
Yeah.
Do you know, I have not forgotten that, because I got to tell you something. I look at all of this and the boomer bashing and bashing our generation. I want my flowers now. Let me tell you something. I was born in the 50s. African American people did not have the right to vote. My sister was a nurse, and when she got divorced, could not get credit in her own name because she was a woman. Interest rates on credit cards were between 20 and 23%. Buying a house was between 10 and 17%, depending on what your income and your history was. And they're going to say to me, oh, the boomers, look what they did. No, all of us in our generations, it's not great what they have to deal with, but what we had to deal with was not easy at all. And I'm not saying I don't want it easy for them, but this thing, what I notice is this, and you said it perfectly, somebody saying, I want my flowers now. Really? It's like the 22-year-old, some pop queen, come out and she got on with this video, and she so dramatically said, well, I'm gonna vote, I'm not gonna endorse Kamala, I'll vote for her, but it's both sides. It's not both sides. And we gotta stop that bullshit. It is not both sides.
I agree.
I won't say her name.
But
We all know her name.
but I do think that we need to walk our talk.
Right.
And I'm talking about I will refuse to go to an event that's produced by a Trump.
And I'm going to start asking.
I'm going to start asking. I am going to stop associating with people. If I hear that person voted for Trump, I'm going to find out, and I'm going to not associate with them. I'm going to do the same thing with leather and kink vendors. If the Trump voter owns that business, I am not giving them a penny of my business.
Right. Me neither.
That's just going to be the way it is from now on. And before I would walk down some vendor market. There's 100. I didn't ask. that's cute. I'll get that. I'm gonna
Not
ask now.
anymore.
I'm
We're
gonna
doing,
find
we're
out
doing
now.
the research.
But you
Yeah.
know, okay, we all just had a wonderful time in Palm Springs at Palm Springs Leather. Thank you, Palm
We
Springs
did.
Leather.
We
Thank
did.
you. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. There were two people who I know are Trump supporters. One of them really tried to friend and buddy up with me, and I just couldn't deal with him. The other one just said hi and walked by, and that was fine as well. But do we now start calling those people out in public and just saying, hey, I'm not associating with you because you're a Trump supporter out loud, or do we just
I think you just
let
did.
it go?
I think you just did.
No, but
I mean,
No, but I agree. We have to be vocal.
Yeah, but like, you know, pointing them out in public and just saying, hey, he's a Trump supporter, I just want you to know that.
I think we have to. I don't think we have any choice anymore. I think we're at a point in time where the crisis is so bad and we are facing such horrific outcomes that we have no choice but to say directly, no, I will not associate with you. I won't give you a penny. And by the way, to all my friends here, no, this is why I'm not. And you can even phrase it, this is why I'm not giving them my business.
Right, you do what you want, but
there's
right.
a bar in San Diego right now. I believe this is still the case.
Mhm.
If it's changed, let me know. That's fine. But there's a bar in San Diego which is a leather bar, and all the leather people know that the owner is a Trump supporter, and they still go to that fucking bar. And when you say something to them, they're like, oh, well, that's just the way he is. Well, he really supports the leather community. Well, you know, he's
No, he
up-
wants
and
your
they
money.
make all this fucking excuses for him. Stand up for yourselves. Be some fucking leather people and stop going to his goddamn bar. You know who he is.
Yay!
Sorry.
That's how we have to be.
Okay, so
I was worried about the pig.
I like this, Graylin.
I do
like
too.
I
this,
don't know what's
Graylin.
come over you.
My back hurts.
But you know, I mean, we're laughing now, but this is
But doesn't it feel
really
good to laugh
serious.
again?
Yeah, it
After
does.
yesterday,
Yes.
it was such a heavy day.
It was.
I
And
tried
I
watching
know
it.
the rest
Yeah.
of the country is
Ugh.
also, and you know
50%
the
of the
one
country.
thing yesterday when I was despondent, I was looking for some sort of leadership on our side,
Yeah, we don't have.
right? Even Kamala's concession speech didn't hit home for me.
Mhm.
And it's more of the we have to unite and we have to fight. You know, we're tired of fucking fighting.
Mhm.
And you know, the other thing I got on voting day was a text from Obama that started, "You're not doing enough." I want to say, bitch.
Have you met me?
You don't know me.
yeah, that
And so it's this. We've got to find a new way to fight, and one of the ways I think is really putting our money where our mouth is.
I agree with you.
And that worked for us in the 70s and
It
80s.
did.
We stopped buying things collectively. That changed the dial.
and can I? Sorry.
Yeah, no, go
No,
for it.
I'm going to evoke Cleve Jones here because he has then often evoked Harvey Milk, who said you always have to form alliances.
Right.
So it can't just be the leather and kinky people.
It's gotta
It
be-
can't just be the queer people. It
gotta
can't
be
just be the
women.
black people. It can't just be
All
the
of
women
us.
who care about their own rights. It can't be. It needs to be all of them
Right.
in a concerted effort and say, all of us aren't going to buy your shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But
Because it is capitalism run amok.
Yeah.
That is what this fucking election was
Well,
about.
it's also religion run amok.
Yeah.
Well, this is true,
Well,
too.
religion is capitalism.
Well, it is. Oh,
It's the biggest Ponzi
I mean,
scheme.
they
on
just
the
want
planet.
customers
They don't
in the
get
seats.
I mean, religion,
They're such
they wage
bullshit.
war on they wage war on people, for God's sake.
And
Look at the
always have.
Crusades. You
But
know,
look
they
at the
just-
Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition. Listen, the one
Catholics.
Let me tell you, as a
Yeah.
Catholic, and I went even to Catholic college and graduate school, here's what I find fascinating. People think the Vatican Bank goes all the way back to the Medici because they were bankers. It doesn't. It was established to launder money for Mussolini and Hitler. That Vatican Bank has only existed since the 1930s. And you know what the Italians finally did when they had enough of Mussolini? They took him and his comrades and they hung him by their feet in Rome. You know what? I gotta tell you, when people get sick and tired of it, they do horrific things. I don't want it to get to the point.
It's gonna
However,
have to get that one.
But
we're not
we've got to fight
changing
back.
until-
These people don't see us as human.
I know. So predictions. One of two things. Trump is going to fuck over his own supporters
Of
at
course.
some point, and they're going to turn on him.
No, they're not. They don't care.
They're going to at some point when the economy doesn't get better. Our economy is going to go through the toilet.
Well, I think their hatred for other people supersedes
drive them.
any of that.
I don't know. I think when they
I
can't
agree
afford
with you.
gas
No.
and they can't buy bread,
Because the church is going to tell them that abortion is bad, and they're going to still go along with that. The church is going to tell them how to vote, because the church always does.
They do
and
now.
they are going to go along with that. So I think that, yes, some of us are going to be mad, but I think that the church is going to control a lot of people, and they are going to just keep following that.
You're absolutely right. And Nixon started the Southern strategy that Reagan capitalized on, where he flipped the South from Democrats to Republicans by demonizing people. And we've lived with that ever since. And the Republican Party since Reagan, he's even worse than, I got to tell you, I think he's worse than Trump because he was smart, is he brought the evangelical crowd in and promised them, and that's how he got the evangelicals in. It's why he would never, ever, ever even mention HIV or AIDS during his presidency, and we begged him. And then it's just grown since then. And now the Christians in this country have nothing to do with spirituality. They are tax-free political parties. That's all they are.
Let me, to Christopher's point, because I think he does have a point. I think there are a smidgen of them at least who will be moved when their own self-interest is directly impacted. Example.
And Elon Musk even said, "Prepare for hardship."
Right.
Yeah.
But
And
he's preparing them. But so then all they have to do is say, well,
when
we knew
hardship
this was
hits
coming.
you, whether you're prepared or not,
When you're so secure,
you react.
when you are a Republican voter, or I'm going to say not even that. I'm going to say
MAGA.
I'm going to say MAGA Trump voter.
Right.
Because there are Republicans who vote for Kamala. So if you're a Trump voter and all of a sudden your Social Security check doesn't arrive, or your hospital bill is $100,000 because your Medicare is fucked up, they're gonna care.
You know what? It's not only
It's
just
self-serving. It's super self-centered. It's sad that that's the case, but I do think he's right. Some people will pay attention.
But listen, already in these states that voted overwhelmingly for Trump, women are bleeding out in the parking lot because doctors can't treat them from a miscarriage. And they still voted for Trump, and that's happening now. These people, I'm telling you, the one thing that I think that I love that we're in California is that Gavin Newsom, did you see he's already had a special counsel today where he's calling people back, how do we try to insulate ourselves from Trump? This is what I say. Cut off the red welfare states from our federal dollars. They take monies. They hate New York State and they hate California. We give the lion's share of federal tax that they live on. They consume far more than they contribute, and they are welfare states. And I say, I hope Gavin, he's got to find a way to
Well, you
not
bring up
give
another
money.
good point. What should Biden do right now in his next 2
Well,
months?
first off, he's got
executive actions.
I think since he's got immunity, I think he should step down and let Kamala Harris be president.
I saw that too.
I do. I
It may
actually think he
trigger
should do
another
that.
election.
Absolutely. Well, he should step down and let Kamala be the 47th president. And nothing else, it gets rid of all the crap they're trying to sell that says Trump is 47.
Which they were pissed about.
Exactly. You know what
They're
I
like,
mean?
we already did the
We
merge.
already bought the 47. I'm saying, Biden, do the right thing, step down and make Kamala president.
I don't think he will.
He won't, but he
that
should.
would be fucking fantastic.
It would be fantastic.
But I do think Biden has no fucks to give anymore, and I think he might do that. The other thing is, I hope he has hundreds of executive orders poised for his pen, enough that he can drown
because they're going to
them,
have to overturn them.
because it takes time to overturn things.
Right, it does. It takes,
so we
You're
don't
just
have-
putting a speed bump.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we need the time.
I mean, you brought up leadership earlier. When Obama was running, we had like every black politician, celebrity, people that we trusted. Maya Angelou. All these
everybody.
people. We don't have that anymore. We don't have the leaders that can mobilize us at all.
And that's what I was looking for
Jesse
yesterday.
Jackson,
Yeah.
we
I couldn't find a single leader to tell me anything that I believe.
Right.
No.
But the gay community doesn't have a leader since Harvey Milk.
But none of us
And
do.
well, in my opinion, Cleve is probably the
Yes.
Cleve is, but he's in his
greatest,
70s.
but he's done so much for so many decades.
He's done so
it's
much.
Hard. But let me just say, because you pointed it out about blue state, red state, let me point out that there are a lot of lovely human beings in
I
red
agree.
states. A lot of
And we've covered that.
We've covered that.
And
but,
it's a expectation that we can't ask them to move,
Right.
and we don't want them to move because we need
let
their
me make my
votes.
point.
Okay.
So, but I do believe, and someone just shared a really wonderful, fairly deeply researched article about blue state versus red state. I have contended for a while that the blue states, the governors of all the blue states, should get together and form an official alliance.
Right.
We produce far more of the GDP.
We do.
We have far more economic power. And we need to figure this shit out about how, in any way, shape, or form, we can insulate ourselves from the power of the red state minority, if you will.
Right.
And so that's the one thing. And it was just shared with me, this wonderful article about that very concept that an academic produced. I'll try to find it. And that's essentially what he's talking about.
But isn't that a step towards a civil war?
I don't
think
know.
it has to be. I don't think it has to be.
But let me say,
North versus South.
They're talking about, for example, the 17 major blue states, which produce 47% of entire GDP, just those 17 states. I forget the number. But what about collectively enticing business to come to those areas? Business, money has power.
Yeah.
What about, there's ways to do it that aren't necessarily that confrontational, but will indeed coalesce power in blue hands, if you will, which doesn't necessarily fuck over anyone in the red states directly on an individual level, but it does form an alliance that I think can buttress us from some of the really bad effects of.
I agree with that, but I want to say something because I do get dragged for this about the move. Let me tell you, as a nurse who worked on the front lines for HIV, was on 2 different national boards for it. Huh?
Did you get shot?
No, not yet. But I will tell you this: during the HIV plague, people came here for treatment because the red states, not only could they not find a doctor, could they not get care, could they not get ADAP to even get basic meds that they need. Then it started with trans people, and now trans people are in these states. They're not even going to be able to get their hormones. This is all happening. So I know I get dragged for saying move. I'm talking about people's personal safety. Now there are people who have had these medical procedures done, or like they say, HIV, they're not going to be protected from that. Yes, I'm sorry, you guys don't agree. I think they should move. I moved.
It's not that we don't agree.
No, it's,
Well, but I am saying, but the one thing we've got to stop coddling and tell people you are in danger.
Yeah,
You need to get out.
I think they know that. I think they financially are unable to a lot of the time.
And I think we should help them.
But I think you raise a good point. The trans community is going to be under fire now, and they need our help more than ever. Please move if you can for your own safety. I'm with you on
Well, and
that.
Gavin is the one saying, come here. That's why I appreciate it. What I'm saying, how could any gay person go on vacation in Florida?
Yeah.
With what Florida's done. If you have to go to Florida because your family's there, research gay businesses and only go to their restaurants, only, try to stay in gay guest house if you're queer. Do not put money into that fascist political system in Florida.
So my boss is European, and I got a big whiff of what Europeans are thinking. They're terrified.
And should be.
And they are canceling their plans. He was going to go to Florida. He's not going to anymore.
They absolutely
He's not
should.
giving $1 to any of those states. They'll be losing revenue over there.
And if you are going to go to a
Just
red
go to
state,
queer.
let's face it, we are all at some point in the next 4 years probably going to go to a red state. That's my guess. So, depending on because of the kind of work
we have to, and
yeah. But you're right. Spend your money wherever.
Just do some
queer
research.
businesses,
Right.
Queer
and
residences.
that's what, because people ask what can we do all the time. They feel helpless.
Right.
Where you spend your money matters.
It does.
That is the number one thing that you can do.
Bingo.
It has worked in the past. It can work now. We need to collectively figure out who we're boycotting, why we're
You're right.
boycotting them, and then fucking boycott them.
You're absolutely right. Just get online and go to a gay guest house, go to gay restaurants. If you have to go to that
But we need
Florida.
But we need someone to mobilize us, and we know Cleve can't
I
do
know
it.
who.
We need someone with.
Well, maybe we can start a salon where we start thinking of these things and putting it out there.
But
Maybe it needs to be us. We keep asking who we need someone.
No, I
maybe it
need
needs
someone
to be us.
bigger.
Yeah.
We need a younger Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
This is what we need.
Or we need a queer David Hogg. Or we need a,
Yes.
we need that kind of, because I happen to believe that for all, if I ever denigrate young people, please call me out on it, because I don't ever want to do that. Because I happen to believe that most of the great political movements happen with younger.
They do.
They have the energy.
They have the energy. So
Right.
We're
We
tired.
have to focus.
You can barely walk up the stairs.
But you know, the one thing I have to say is I'm done. I never gave a rat's ass what anybody thought, but I do have to say I am over. Oh, they're gonna fit young. No, you know what? They need to hear this, because I don't think they've heard it before. And they really do, and we respect them. We're with them all the time. We are saying this. We're doing this whole thing only to ignite a fire under them.
We're doing it with love.
We are.
Well,
Get
we
out
are.
there.
We are.
To a point. There is a point where I gotta say, when these people who have a huge platform, I gotta say, Taylor Swift and Beyonce, I know they have people, but their messages were so thoughtful. They were so well thought through. They were so perfectly placed in time. And then you have some other ones, like 22-year-olds who are out there, it's both sides. It's not. And that is the worst thing you can do to millions of queer kids.
You know, I give all the credit to Beyonce and Taylor Swift
Me
and
too.
any other celebrity or person with a platform who got out there to help. Unfortunately, most of those have been women.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those messages, even if they're given to men, men see them as messages coming from women to women. And I hate to say this because it sounds bad, but we definitely need more men to step up.
Yeah.
You know, we have so many men who are influential, and where the fuck are you? Why does Beyonce and Taylor Swift and all these others have to take the brunt? We're fucking men. Stand up and act like men and be the men that you say that you are.
Bingo.
I agree completely. And I think you're right. It has been women. Look, Lady Gaga, another example.
No, you don't have to apologize. We are getting it out.
Well, and our audience is seeing what really happens privately when we sort of go at it. Because
Which
I curse a lot, by the way.
I get told to shut up a lot, by the way. And not today.
And with that, I'm going to call time.
Oh.
We could go on for hours and hours and
Yeah,
hours.
I know.
And we will, and we probably will, but I don't have any more
No.
battery life in my camera. So if you like this platform and want to see us do it more, please leave a comment down below. If you don't agree with us, go ahead, leave a comment down below.
And fuck you.
Don't listen to
No.
We do.
We want.
This is
we
a
want,
salon, and we're not right about everything. We have opinions. Hey,
Right.
we have opinions, and we're not always right. We miscalled many a things.
But we are always
but
ourselves.
We do have opinions. We do talk respectively, respectfully with each other. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you can. Please tell your friends about the channel. It was, like you said, we were in Palm Springs. The number of people, the word of mouth about this show is out.
Yeah.
And the number of people who came up, and we're so thankful that we do this show, because we, the youth, need to see this perspective. And we need to not yell at them so much.
No, because we care for them.
Care. And our next episode will have Amp to pull us in. But once in a while, we're going to do these off the cuff, what we really think kind of style. But thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.